Hello, my friends. This is the second part of Coin for the 2022 reading, um, the meta pattern recognition portion for the year 2022 for Coinbase, which is COIN, and it's currently December 31st, 2021. The time is 8:12 p.m. So the main theme and overall behavior of coin throughout the year of 2022 is going to be a notable rally out of a fear-based decline, and it's crossed with a successful. So we successfully turn a resistance level, a significant resistance level, into new support. That's what it's crossed with. And then it's also crossed with the prudence card. And I'm being advised that I need to be prudent around lows. It's interesting that the prudence card is actually correlating to two areas throughout the year. And those two areas are the same two areas where if I cross-reference this 1 year with the S&P 500 1 year, those are the two areas in the S&P 500 where we have like the two most prominent market fake outs. So prudence in that that there's a false bottom. I believe there's probably two false bottoms. Huh. Okay. Um, all right. Now behavior around the year's high is the abundance card. It's going to be like a breakout through or breaking through a resistance level, just to form like a little peak. We stay there temporarily, not very long, and then we break back down through that same price level, creating kind of like a sharp upside down U or an A shape without an A shape. And then the behavior around the low, there's a significant technical level that is highlighted around the low. It's likely that we meet the same low more than once. Okay, let's back up. I don't want to say that there's two false bottoms just yet, but there's definitely one false bottom that's in February at February's low. Okay. So, for January, we start the month of January bumping up against resistance levels, and we bump up against them, sometimes breaking through, but bumping along, I should say, not just bumping up, but bumping along them, and then we might break through and bump along again. And that's the beginning of January. The high and the low for January are both within close proximity to each other on a timeline. They're also both correlated to the month's high, or excuse me, the year's high and the year's low. So we definitely have some volatility to start out the year. So we're bumping up against resistance. The low's got a sideways S formation. So yeah, so a decline followed by an incline followed by a decline, a sideways S. And so within that sideways S, we should see both the high and the low. The high will form from a notable rally out of the decline. And then we have, to end the month, we have multiple headwinds that are pushing the stock down through multiple price levels or support levels. For February, we have another correlator here at the beginning of the month of February for a month's high. Okay, so we go in January, we go from the resistance, decline, and then we incline. It looks like we incline into like right around the cusp between January and February. We incline into that same, I guess, the same high, or it's one high or it's two highs at the same level. One in January and February, or it's the same high. It's just one. It's either two highs, one in January and one in February, and it's like a decline from a high, then an incline to the same high, and then we decline again, or it's the same high and it's at the cusp. But with that said, the high there seems to be a high here in, like, let's say roughly the end of the first week or the beginning of the second week of January or February. There's, and then from there there's some sort of, like, something is revealed. There's a U shape that forms between around the intersection of two perpendicular diagonal trend lines, and there's something revealed around that time. The behavior. So there's a dip. It seems to me there's a dip. Yes, there's the fake out. So there's a dip, and then a very significant event takes place here. A very significant event takes place at the low here in February, and it pushes. It turns, like, we go far high. We go high and far, right, and fast. And that's from out of the low. We probably see a J shape. Sometimes we see a full retracement, but I think in the case of what I'm seeing here, we're seeing like a J shape out of the low, and then there's around the high, which around the high for February, which is around that first end of the first week, beginning of the second week, there's bullish rotation. There may be some positive economic data that comes out, and then we finish the month of February in a notable rally that's picking up steam as we exit February. And then there's a notable price level that is highlighted at the beginning of March. Oh, there's also an opportunity to cash in on some positions here. Yeah, there's an opportunity to cash in on some trades here between, around the cusp of February, March. Looks like it's a opportunity to sell at a high, and then we have the there's money to be made there in between February and March. It looks like there's a trade opportunity. Both at a high and there's a decline from there. So in March, we have a notable breakout out of the low, which we make it to a high for the month, and there's an important resistance level that we bump up against, and then from that moment we start to fall. Volatility picks up, price swings, and then there's a really sharp decline towards the end of the month. And it looks like there's a cooling of a trend around the low and around the end of the month. So those two coincide together. Now around the high, so around the high, around the high in March, any plans, any trades that are put on there should based on the energy of the time should yield fortuitous outcomes. And we have another year's. It looks to me like this is probably this could be the year's high right here at the very beginning of April, in the midst of a rally where we that picks up steam and momentum moving into the month. There's a notable spike higher off of a support level. Yeah, and around that high, for the month and for the year in April, there's an opportunity to cash in before there's a sharp decline and an intentional fake out around the low for April. We enter into May after a failed attempt to break a key resistance level, followed by a decline through an important support level. And then into May, we have a correlation with the year's low again. There's a trade opportunity there. I'm also advised to be prudent at the time, early May. So let's say I'm advised to be prudent between mid-April through mid-May. And then out of that low, we have a big push to the upside. There's a lot of headwinds that would make us think that the stock's going to go down, but instead it rallies and it pushes higher. It's a courageous rally out of a scary decline, and by scary I mean it was intentionally made to create fear, and there's a failure in late April, early May, followed by a pop higher. And then we end the month of May in a period of volatility, but that period of volatility ends with a fast, sudden move higher. I'm advised to practice restraint at that time. So late May, early June, practice restraint. There's a big push to the upside in early June. Also correlation to the prudence card as well, so that doubles the practice restraint impressions. And then we come up against the top of a range for the high in June. From there, there's a notable profit-taking sell-off out of a period of like severely overbought on the RSI, so above 80%. And that'll take us to the low, that selling from the top of the range. Also there is a trade opportunity on the cusp here of somewhere on the cusp of May and June. There's two trade opportunities, major trade opportunities, in the end of June. One being at the low, the month's low. And we finished the month of June breaking down through a diagonal trend line, and the volatility increases on the way down. But out of that decline, there's a very strong rally. I see the strength card at the end of June and the beginning. Again, correlation to it at the beginning of July. There's also a strong impression of a year's high here at the beginning of July or somewhere in July. And I'm advised to open some protection in early July, or buy some short positions, because the high, from the high, we're going to have a very, well, into the high we have a rally out of that, excuse me. Okay, so the high for July, we tank. There's a big move down out of that high in July through an important support level, and it looks like it's probably a new high. It's probably another new high for the year, early July. And we're moving higher, we're pushing the top of a range higher by the end of July. Okay, now August. There's two. First off, the beginning of July and the end of July both mark opportunities. The Aeon card at the end of July is also crossed with some debauch energy, or debauch energy, however you want to pronounce it. So that's a decline through a support to meet a second support, bounce along that support, and then fall further down through multiple supports. So somewhere in the midst of the end of the month, there's that, and then we push higher. In August, there's an opportunity early on to open some long positions. There's a low correlator for the year in early August, and two trade opportunities in early August. A big push higher out of a decline to meet an important resistance level, and it looks like we decline from. So there's a big push to raise the upper end of the range for coin at the end of July, and then from there, somewhere at the end of July, from that big push higher to the top of a new range, we decline into August to meet a year's low. I'm advised to take profits at the year's low, because from the year's low, there's some sort of an agreement or a merger of some kind, an agreement between two parties with two leaders, with a important, impactful decision, or it could be a merger of some kind that's crossing the low here in August. And then we have a big push higher in August out of that decline, out of that early decline, and that push higher creates a new support level out of resistance. However, we end the month with indolence. Indolence is a decline from a peak whose price level will not be revisited within the time frame of the reading. So there's a big move into the end of the month to reach the high, but then we fall from that. Yes, because there's bad news, a change in plans, something health related that transpires in early September, in the midst of a really powerful rally, and that bad news creates a severe decline through multiple significant support levels to reach the Knight of Discs support level, which by the time we get there, I'll probably know what the actual price level is that corresponds to the Knight of Discs. Yeah, and then there's unpleasant surprise of financial disappointments towards the end of the month of September, and then there's some fluidity, some back and forth in a tight range fluidity as we move out of the month of September. And by fluidity, I mean equal amount of bulls and bears, inflow, outflow. So it's kind of like just going sideways in a really tight range. Moving into October, we are in an incline, something to do with a male leader, likely a ruler of nations, likely the president. And there's a something to do with the president going on there. Something significant going on with the president. I believe it's the president. In the month of October, and whatever it is, it creates another spell of debauch. It's a surprise disappointment, and we fall through a support level to meet a second one, bounce along that for a bit, and then fall further through multiple support levels. It looks like we actually meet a bottom that you would consider there was an actual correction, a major correction in the stock to reach the low, and that's after 3 failed attempts to break a resistance level, followed by a sharp decline out of that third failed attempt, and that's how we meet the low. There's a completion of a trend at the end of the month. It's interesting. I see a rally in early October and late October, but there's also a major correction for the stock there. With surprise disappointment, something doesn't go according to plan, and we fall after 3 failed attempts to the low. And again, a completion of a trend, completion of a rally towards the end of the month as well. 2 trade opportunities, the beginning and the end of the month, and then moving into November. Congress is highlighted at the beginning of November, and we have a move higher to revisit a crest that was an opportunity, and it's a move that takes us through a resistance level and turns that resistance level into new support. And around that high in November, there's some back and forth price swings. Something still to do with a male leader, likely the president, in both the high and the low here for November. There's bullish rotation that turns into a rally with increasing momentum out of the low for November. And then an important price level, an important technical level is highlighted at the end of November. There's another trade opportunity in early November. And it looks like from a high to a low, there's a trade opportunity there in November. And then in early Um, Early December, there's a major bottom in the stock, um, due to some more debauch. So it looks like that debauch is really like a, yeah, it's all over the place down there. There's a trade opportunity at that bottom, obviously, and there's quite a bit of volatility, price swings and volatility at a resistance level somewhere near the bottom, and then from there we break out, with a fast, sudden move towards the end of the month, and an opportunity to cash in and roll positions. It looks like cash in on long positions from bought earlier that month of December, and cash in on them or roll them, at the end of the month. There's two trade opportunities around the high. There's something highlighting the emperor or the male ruler, likely the president again around the high, and then there's a sharp decline off of that high. Yeah, there's two major highs. The first one is, it looks like early on in April, and the second one is early, July. Lows, major lows for the year. One in, January, one somewhere in around the cusp of, April, May, or in early May. Another one, in July, August area. And it may not be a year's low, but it's definitely a prominent bottom here, at the beginning of December. All right, guys, that's the coin, 1 year for 2022. The meta portion, you take this and you combine it with the ESO portion, which gives you all of the behavior, throughout the months in greater detail, not just the highs and lows, but what more about the behavior of throughout the year, on a monthly level. That'd be the first portion. If you didn't see that, that part's free. Go check it out on the website. And thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the website. Thanks for supporting us. This took a really long time. It took a lifetime to figure this out, so much appreciated. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or like and share button. And good luck to you for the year 2022. I'll see you later.